Okay, I wanted to talk to you guys today about downturned eyes because in the video where I filmed like tips for hooded eyes, a lot of you were like, what about downturned eyes though? Including downturned eyes that are hooded. So I'm gonna try to hit as many of the downturned eye shapes that I possibly can. So to start off, something to keep in mind, very important, and I touched on this if you saw my hooded eyes tutorial, there are all kinds of different types of downturned eyes. So you can have downturned eyes that have super deep eye socket and a super high brow, so you have like a ton of room to work with up here, but this part of your eye just comes down further than the inner part of your eye, which means that it kind of creates the effect that your eyes are more downturned. Most makeup these days is kind of catered towards like creating a lift. So, you know, your inner corner being a little bit low. Oh my God, I've just sneezed. Excuse. So your inner corner being a little bit more like downturned than your outer corner. So if you look at my eye shape right now, I don't know. I always feel like mine are like kind of even, like it's a straight line, but I do think my outer corner goes up ever so slightly. But this line and also the line around my eye socket is very rounded. So I think that's why it creates that effect. It kind of makes my eyes look a little bit more like straight. So assessing the actual shape of your eye is going to be really helpful for this. If you have downturned eyes that have like a ton of room to work with up here, maybe your lid is ever so slightly hooded like mine, and you just like tend to be like a little bit downturned here, and you want to create more of a lift, you don't have to force your eyeliner to be the thing that gives your eye a lift. You can rely on your placement of eyeshadow in these areas, like above the lid or on the lid, to create that lift, to kind of balance out the eyeliner, if that makes sense. So I wanted to give you my first tip if that's something that you're trying to look for, because I know a lot of people aren't necessarily looking for a lift. But if you're someone who has downturned eyes and you are trying to create a little bit more of a lift and you feel like you can't do it with your eye makeup, my first tip is to do it with contour or bronzer. It depends on like what color you're using. The first thing that you can do is create a lift using a little bit of a contour color and even a concealer. So I do this typically where I will place my contour at my temple going up. So this shape. And that kind of like, if you've seen these like model tutorials like Kendall Jenner, Bella Hadid, it kind of creates like a lift to the eye. You can also do, if you have a lot of room here, like between your lid and your brow, like I do, you can also take it right here. So you're kind of creating a line going from like the end of your eye and up. I did my brows, so I have to be careful. Usually I would do this before my brows. If you don't have a ton of room, like I do between my lid and my brows, then you can just keep this right at your temple. So you're not trying to like contour this area to make it look smaller. You're trying to create a line from the end of your eye going up to create the illusion of a lift. You can also do this with a little bit of concealer. So you can use something that's like a little bit lighter. This is the Rare Beauty 100W concealer. It's very light. It's actually the lightest shade. From the corner of your eye, just underneath that contour, you can kind of create a little bit of a line. It's kind of intensifying that like lift to the eye. So this has nothing to do with your eye makeup. This is just like contouring your face to make your eyes look a little bit more lifted. All right, so I'm just gonna pat this out with the brush. So you wanna make sure that you're keeping it in the area that you placed it. So you're not taking it like, you know, all over the place, but you wanna make sure you're softening it enough that it's blended. Can you see how we kind of like created that lift? Why do I always forget to do a side by side? It's so stupid. Now I'm just using my little sponge to blend out the concealer. So I'm gonna take this right to the edge of my eye, down a little bit. I love doing this because it kind of like enhances my cheekbones as well, which I like to do. Just going to, because I don't want it to be like a straight line like that. I'm just gonna go back in with the contour brush and kind of diffuse between those colors. See how that creates like a lift to the eye? It's just making your eyes look less like they're being pulled downwards. So this is something that you can do separate of eye makeup to give yourself the illusion of a lift if you feel like you can't do it with your eyeliner or your eyeshadow because you don't have enough room or your eyes are too downturned to like lift your eyeliner or whatever. All right, my next tip is always to look up celebrities that might have downturned eyes so that you can try and find someone who might have a similar eye shape. So when I look up downturned eyes, some people who come to mind immediately are Sydney Sweeney. She has downturned eyes. I think they're so beautiful. I don't know if you guys saw the puppy dog trend that was happening like a while back. It was geared towards downturned eyes, and it was kind of like enhancing that like droop of the lid and making the eyes look super duper big and just like puppy dog. She has like a lot of room to work with between her lid, her eyelid, and her brows. I actually know her makeup artist. Hi, Melissa, if you happen to see this. She does the most beautiful makeup looks on her. And you can kind of see that the way that she does her makeup sort of enhances that downturned shape. She kind of like follows the natural shape of her eye without trying to force any kind of a lift. Rather than taking on her eye, rather than taking an eyeliner straight from the corner and going straight out and trying to do this like Megan Fox, like Bella Hadid snatched situation, she will line her eye and then swoop it so that she's complementing the actual shape of her eye. Marilyn Monroe. I just did that Marilyn Monroe look recently. Marilyn Monroe had downturned eyes. So her eyeliner was very much that like following her whole eye, a little bit more rounded here, swooping down, and then a little bit of a lift. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't have to force that like Bella Hadid snatched look. So for instance, in this photo, she has like very rounded, like the center of her eye is very rounded, and her like lower lash line just comes down further, right? Because her eyes are downturned. So like when you're looking at her, you're seeing like a heaviness underneath her eyes. This look really enhances that by like kind of defining the inner and outer part and really intensifying that like roundness. It brings your eyes like right to the center. And her like eyelid, her lower lash line is just as smoky as her upper lash line. So it's kind of just like leaning into the fact that like your eye naturally goes there, or like her eyes are a little bit like heavier low down. And I mean, obviously she's like stunning, you know what I mean? But I think that like is so incredibly flattering rather than trying to like create a Bella Hadid, I'm just gonna get sick of saying that, or like a Kendall Jenner like lift. Another person, I don't know if you guys know the comedian Esther Pavitsky. This is blurry, but you can literally see it's the same exact situation. So like her eye goes down at the ends, and so does her winged liner. So she's lining her entire eye, and then rather than like trying to lift it up, because like especially if you have downturned eyes, you probably have a like, or you're more likely to have like a hooded lid. I feel like a lot of people have that problem. It looks like Esther does. I can't really tell because this is such a like blurry photo. But rather than trying to like deal with all of this thing that's happening, instead of trying to like force this shape, like bringing that liner like here and having to run into all of these lines, she's kind of like bringing her liner like that. Sort of like the Marilyn Monroe situation, so it's going a little bit lower. Now, if that is the problem, or if that is something that you don't love, think of your eyeliner as like an extension of your lashes. So if your lashes are doing that, then like you can use this like highlighting and contouring technique to give you the effect of like a lift so that your whole face isn't coming down if you feel like, you know, those lines just kind of like drag your face down. You can kind of offset that with your contour. I love her eyes. I think they're like amazing. And then like this photo, for instance, because she does have like quite a bit of room up here, you can kind of see that this, whoever did her makeup is playing with this area. So this is kind of like the same advice that I gave to hooded eyes. If your like lid is covered, but you have like all of this room to work with, get creative, like play up here. You can do that. It's like you're not limited to your lid. I feel like a lot of people think that they're limited to their lid. And if their lid is covered, they're like, I don't know what to do. Love her makeup in this, so pretty. I wish I had a flat under eye like her. You always want what you don't have. Now, this is a very specific example right here. This is a downturned eye that is also very hooded. So my advice for this kind of an eye shape well, it really depends. It really fucking depends on like what your style is. Cause you could do some really dope like graphic liner shit. But like if that's not your style, if you're not trying to wear that, then like, I mean, it's not gonna work, you know? So my advice for this is to go to, if you have it on your phone, markup. And what you can do is select one of the fucking things, play around with this feature. So you can zoom in and be like, you know what? If I darken this area right here and just stop it there, how does that look on my eyes? Let's do it on both sides and see. This is hard to do on the other side. And like use the eraser, like draw it out and be like, oh, if I turn it down a little bit, how does that look? Like, do I like the way that looks? Do I want to add definition out here? How far should I take that? Should I take it in just a little bit? Like, do I want that? What if I do a lighter shade? Oh, I don't like that. If I do, oh, that's not the best. This marker is not the best. Just darken, like play around. Like I'm going in with this fucking brown, this like orangey brown, very loosely. I'm just gonna draw that. Should I place color up there? What if I try to do an eyeliner up here? What if I do that shape and then I just fill it in like that, kind of like a bat wing situation, but keep it shorter? What does that do for my eye? You know, maybe an Amy Winehouse situation. Take it right to the tail of my brow, keep it up here, that sort of shape. How do I feel about that? What if I extend my inner corner a little bit? You know? So this is a very useful exercise in my opinion. I actually used to do this with contour when I was trying to figure out my face shape. And I wasn't 100% on what would be most flattering for me, because I was like, do I have a heart-shaped face? Do I have a round face? Do I have a square face? Like people were always telling me different things and I couldn't figure it out. But what I knew when I took a photo of my face and I tried to mess around in like paint, I realized, okay, I don't necessarily know exactly what my face shape is. I know that it tends to look a little bit more round. I prefer something that looks a little bit more heart-shaped. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. So I started like sketching out shapes and it helped me to inform like how I contour my face now. So now I just wanted to show you how I would apply liner to a downturned eye. So I'm gonna use the new Sigma Shayla angled liner brush. This is the E09, and I'm gonna use a shadow because it can be a lot less harsh. It's also a lot easier to clean up if you feel like you end up not liking it. So I am going to dip into the black shade of my Hindash palette, Fatum, and I'm going to line my entire eye. So I'm starting on the inner, I'm kind of doing like tight lining, looking down into a mirror and just press that color as close to your lash line as you possibly can. You can make this as thick as you want, but if you don't see a whole lot of your lid, that can be like very, very heavy and can end up like kind of closing your eye off or dragging it down even more. So if that's something that you're trying to avoid, just press it gently against your lash line, like right at the top of your lashes. Then when I get to the outer part, I'm not trying to lift, I'm just gonna connect it to the very end of my lash line. And first I'm gonna focus on just defining this whole area evenly. Okay, see that definition? So it just gives it like the appearance of like a thicker lash line and some more definition to the eye. Now, especially as I get older, this part of my eye comes down more and more and more, which makes eyeliner really difficult. Instead of just going straight from the corner of my eye, from the outer corner of my eye, recklessness. What I want to do is kind of like follow that shape. So swoop it down and then swoop it back up in that shape. And then You can kind of like decide on how long or how thick you want it to be. And with an eyeshadow, it's just a lot easier to kind of like buff around the edges, soften, like that. And then if you feel like defining the lower lash line a little bit more, I'm gonna use a combination of Feel and Real, this like brown and gray color. So I'm tapping right in the center. I'm just going to go straight from that line to the outer corner of my lower lash line. And this is kind of like how puppy dog eyes were sort of, this is kind of the concept of puppy dog eyes. Actually, I might start doing my eyeliner like this because then you don't have to worry about this crease coming down. And then like when it comes to your lid, like you can apply your crease shade up here and you can do whatever lift there. Or if your lids are like, if your brow is low and you have this hanging down, like this area hanging down a lot and it covers up your lid completely, all of the focus is here. Versus, I just want to show you on the other side, trying to go straight from here and do a lift like that. And then try to like bring it straight back. All right, so here's the difference between the two sides. I tried a new skin tint and it is making me oily. It's very annoying. All right, guys, if I had to finish this video with anything, it would be just, you have to experiment a little bit. Like I said, all eye shapes, no matter what category they're put into, are so incredibly different. There are a lot of different things that you can do. You have to think outside the box a little bit, experiment a little bit. Finding someone, like a celebrity who has photos online of like makeup looks, if they have similar eye shape to you, can be really, really helpful. That goes for pretty much everything. If they have a similar lip shape, look at how they're doing their lips, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I think one of the most important things is not to fight your features. If you have downturned eyes, lean into it, bro. Think Twiggy. I love that kind of thing. Like, lean into it. It looks so much more interesting on you when it complements you, you know? You don't have to do whatever is trendy. I know that we like feel a little bit of a pressure when other people are doing something and it looks really good on them, but if it doesn't look good on you, or if you just don't feel comfortable in it or confident in it, something else might just be like a much better fit. And trust me, when you find that thing that you love, that suits you, you're gonna get so many compliments. People are gonna be like, oh, I want to do my makeup like that. And they're not gonna be able to because they don't have exactly your eye shape. You know what I mean? As always, please leave me comments down below. Like if you have any questions, if you have any specifics, I would be happy to do a video. I've received some requests for this where you send in your eye shape and let me know like what you're trying to do and I can give you some feedback. So yeah, I don't know. Let me think about that a little bit more. But if you can go ahead and DM me photos if you want, and if I get enough of them, then maybe I'll just make a video dedicated to that. I think that would be cool. I hope this was helpful, you guys. Let me know. Yeah, and let me know what you want to see next. I fucking love downturned eyes, dude, for real. I literally DM'd Esther Pavitsky because I love her eye shape so much, and I was like, I want to do your makeup, and she never responded. But anyway, I'll just live vicariously through Melissa doing Sydney Sweeney's makeup. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go.